Hello, and welcome to a new lesson for English learners in grade 7. My name is Sanja Božinović, and I will be your teacher today. Our today's topic is health issues. By the end of today's lesson, you will be able to compare what you know about health issues with what you learn in this lesson, and you will be able to talk about health issues caused by a virus. For today's lesson, you need your pencil and a notebook because I will ask you to write some notes into your notebook. And you will need your laptop or your tablet or your mobile phone because there will be some digital sources. In one of the exercises, you will need your QR scanner because there will be a QR code to scan. Let's start. Your first task is to read aloud the words that you can see on the screen. Guess the health issue and guess the meaning of the words. Try to read aloud the words and to explain what they mean. Let me help you. The words on this screen are respiratory, infection, isolate, a case, population, a symptom, virus, mild, severe, a patient. Can you guess the health issue? Of course, it's the COVID-19 pandemic. I hope that the picture you can see on the screen helps you. The questions for you are, what is it? What is the COVID-19 pandemic? Where and how did it start? If you look at the picture, it will help you. What is happening in the world now? What can you hear in the news? What do you learn from your parents, from your teachers? How does it affect your life? And how does it make you feel? Your task now is to make a mind map. You can start your mind map with the word COVID-19 in the central part of the page, and you can write the information about its origins, how it started, then about what you know is happening in the world now, then how it affects your life, and finally about your feelings about it. You can pause this video and start creating your mind map. Don't worry, you don't have to fill your map with all the information. Now you can add to it later on during the lesson. Here is the definition of the word. COVID-19 is a mild to severe respiratory illness caused by a coronavirus, transmitted by a contact with infectious material, such as respiratory droplets, or with objects or surfaces contaminated by the causative virus, by the virus that causes it, characterized by fever, cough, and shortness of breath. It may progress to pneumonia, upala pluća, and respiratory failure. Please read carefully this definition. You can see that there are different colors for different kinds of information, different types of information that you need to define, to describe this health issue. If there are words that you don't know, look them up in your dictionary, copy them and learn them. You will need this definition because it will help you talk and write about this issue. I hope you have copied all the words that are key words that are necessary for you to learn, to use when you describe, when you talk, when you write about the virus. Now that you have all the words from the definition. You can add some more words to the list of vocabulary you need to talk and write about the pandemic. How can you describe that illness? You use the adjectives. Can you think of a few more adjectives? Copy this table in your notebook and try to add some adjectives to your list. Can you add some nouns, words that define what is important when you talk about the virus? Can you add some verbs, words that describe the activities? Please add a few more words and copy the list into your notebook. Here are some of the words that I hope you have on your list. Please read through this list, through this table, and compare with what you have in your notebook. If you don't have these words, please add them to your list. The adjectives are anxious, frightened, infectious, mild, physical, reluctant, respiratory. The nouns are cough, distance, mask, pandemic, pneumonia, symptom, and virus. And the verbs are to cause, to characterize, hospitalize, prevent, sneeze, spread, and transmit. Do you know all these words? If there are some words that are new to you, please look them up in your dictionary and write the definition, maybe the translation if it helps you, and an example into your notebook. Let's learn the words that we need to talk and write about the coronavirus. On the left-hand side of your screen, you will see a task that helps you learn how to write properly, how to write correctly all the words, because all the letters are jumbled and you have to unjumble them to find the words and to learn the words that you need to speak about the coronavirus. On the right-hand side of the screen, you will find a quiz. And the quiz is about some facts about this pandemic. You can see 2 QR codes. Use your scanner and scan the codes, or you can follow the bit.ly links and access the exercises. Please pause the video, do the exercises, learn your words so we can go on. Now that you have learned to write and to use the words properly, it's time to add some new words to your mind map. Remember the mind map that you started creating at the beginning of this lesson? Add some words to your mind map. Please try to answer the questions. Where and how did the COVID-19 pandemic start? What is happening in the world now? How does it affect your life? How does it make you feel? I hope you've learned some new words and you can add to your map now. It's time to start writing notes, because notes will help you when you talk about the pandemic, when you talk about the health issue for your final task. Let's make a note. We have to use the simple past to talk about how it started. Where and how did the pandemic start? Do you know any information? When did you first hear about it? Can you remember? And how did it affect your life when you first heard about it, when it started? I hope this picture will help you, and I hope you can use the simple past correctly. You can use the beginnings of the sentence that you can see on the screen. It started, I first heard, it changed. We need a note about what is happening now. Can you try and answer the questions that you can see on the screen? You can write your notes into a notebook. What is happening in the world? You can start writing, in my country people are wearing, what are people wearing? We are following, at school we don't use. So try answering the questions that you can see on the screen and that are, what is happening now in the world, in your country, in your town, in your school, in your family? And what do you do differently than before? Remember to use present continuous and the present simple. Pay attention to the form of the verbs and to make full sentences. The next question was, how does it affect your life? Think, what is different in your life now than it was, let's say, last year, before the pandemic? And think about your feelings. How do you feel now? You can use the beginnings of the sentences that you can see on the screen. It means, it changes, I feel, I don't feel. Remember to use the present simple to talk about what you think, how you feel. Look at the pictures and they can help you. Now we'll listen to an interview with a young person, a boy your age. His name is Philip, and I asked him questions about the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, after you listen to the interview, my interview with Philip, I will ask you to answer the questions. The questions are, what does Philip know about the pandemic? How is the pandemic changing his life these days? How does he feel? How does he use any of the words from the mind map? How is his story similar to yours? And how different is it? Hi, Philip, and thank you for agreeing to share your ideas and opinions with us.
Thank you for having me.
I know that you're following closely the news about the health situation and the recommendations we get from our doctors, from authorities, and the World Health Organization. Why is that important for a young person?
You see, in a situation like this, everybody wants to stay safe and healthy. COVID-19 is a serious illness, a respiratory infection. Some people must be hospitalized and some even die. We can't know what we should do if we don't pay attention. That is why I think it is important to be informed. We are not little children.
Yes, true. What recommendations to young people are the most important in your opinion?
I think the most important recommendations would be to wash your hands frequently and properly, wear a mask, stay away from someone coughing and sneezing, check your temperature before you go to school. If you have symptoms that include a fever, cough, or fatigue, and if you have been in a high-risk area or in contact with someone who is infected, you need to get in touch with your doctor and follow the instructions. There is no such thing as zero risk. If you're in a place where there are a lot of people, then there is risk of getting infected, and you must be extra careful and think of all the recommendations I mentioned before.
Okay, thank you, Philip. People are trying to adjust their everyday behavior to stay safe. We wear masks all the time, we are indoors, but not at home, and we avoid the traditional handshake. What about you?
Wearing a mask, especially if you have to wear it all day, is not easy, but there are ways to make it fun. Some of my friends have some really cool ones. I also love the alternative ways of greeting people with your elbow. Do you?
Yes, I do. Now that you've heard Philip talk about how the pandemic affects his life, it's your time to talk. Let's talk. You can use your mind map. You can use the information from your notebook, from your vocabulary list. And then you should try to answer the questions. Where and how did the pandemic start? What is happening in the world? How does it affect your life? And how does it make you feel? Please prepare your talk and then try to record it. You can use vocaloo.com. You can see the link on the right-hand side of the slide. And when you are happy with your recording, you can share it with your classmates and your teacher. Here's the rubric that will help you create a very good talk. When you create your talk and when you look at it, when you listen to it, when you assess it, you have to think about if your talk is about this illness. Do you mention 5 or more facts that you have learned in the lesson? Do you use 5 or more new words that you have learned in this lesson, or you were reminded of them in this lesson? Do you use the past simple to talk about the first time you heard about the illness, the first days and months of the time when your life changed? Do you use the present continuous to describe your real present activities? Do you use the present simple to talk about your opinions, what you think about the illness, and all-time activities? And do you speak loudly, clearly, that everybody can understand and follow your talk? Do you speak without pausing, saying, trying to find some time to think about what to say? So if you can talk about 5 or more facts, if you can use 5 or more words that are new from this lesson, if you can use your grammar correctly, and if you speak without hesitation, loudly and clearly, well done. And this rubric will tell you how to improve if you have the score which is not in the well done part of the rubric, but in the good or needs improvement. You need to try harder. You need to try again. In this lesson, there are some additional tasks. If you are a creative type of student, which I hope you are, you can do this task when you meet a friend. Instead of a traditional handshake, and you remember, I'm sure, that Philip mentions the traditional and the new kind of handshake, new kind of greetings too. You can think of a new way of greeting your friend. What can you do? And you can share your idea with your classmates and your teacher. You can make a short video. Also, dear students, I hope you have enjoyed today's lesson and learning about the COVID-19 pandemic, and that you have found the rubric that helps you talk about it useful. Now that you have done all the tasks, it's time for your exit ticket. You can choose to do all, some, or one of the activities that you can see as part of the wheel. One thing I already knew. Maybe you knew most or all of the facts, and this lesson was a chance for you to revise. Well done! One thing I have learned. What have you learned? You can share it with your teacher. I'm still confused. If there is anything you're not sure about, please ask your teacher to clarify it for you. I would like to learn more about. If you would like to continue learning, well done for you. One word to sum up today's lesson. Can you come up with one word to sum up today's lesson? And finally, how do you feel? Did you like this lesson? Was it so-so? Or maybe you didn't like it? I hope you liked it. And I can say at the end of today's lesson, I wish you to stay healthy and to keep on learning about health and well-being. That's all for today. Thank you for listening. Thank you for learning with me, and goodbye until our next lesson.